Bonsoir, mes camarades de jeu, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is Reign of Terror. It was developed by Mark Morrison and is available on the Chaosium website. Our maitre de jeu is Nick Swan, and this is episode 11. Our recap will be given by Luke Strom. So, without any further delays, commence notre voyage dans le ténèbres. Luke?
I am Sergeant Etienne Babon. I took over my squad in a rather unfortunate series of events that led us into a dark world of blasphemy. The terrible things that lurk in the night that people tell their children to scare them. They are not fairy tales. They are real. We saw them. In the years that have passed, these horrors have been pushed to the background by the horrors of revolution. And somehow, throughout all of it, we have come back around, circling into the place where we started. The catacombs, watching people bring endless dead and drop them off, never to be seen again. And finally, yet again, one more time, strangeness occurs in the middle of the night. And again, Dr. Rigaud, I suppose you call him Citizen Rigaud now, he appears again, but this time, he is no longer the flustered noble of the past. Now, he's hungry, lean, different, disturbing. And sure enough, our concerns of his disturbing nature were quickly revealed to be something more. He is not human, and he has beasts at his beck and call. The living dead with heads sewn onto bodies that are not their own. Mon Dieu, it is terrible. What are we to do? I do not know.
Thank you. Everything goes blurry for just a second. I've been a soldier for a long time. Sometimes it just does things like this. For a moment, all you can see is this orange hellmouth blur in front of you. And the smell. You know, it's funny that the difference is almost metallic, tinny. The difference between the smell of the old dead in the tunnels and the new old dead that you've killed here. It's a funny distinction. It's almost as if, and then as soon as you started thinking about it, the moment passes and you're back there, the blurring subsides, all's normal again. You're back in the shit and the piss and the skulls and the tragedy and the mud of being a soldier. And on it goes. On it goes. So before you are 4 dead bodies. Judging by the state of them, they may have been dead for some time. One of them is particularly unsettling. I won't make you roll a sanity roll for it, but you do notice one of them as the hood has been removed. You notice that it is a large grown man's body and a small child's head, which there's something about that you find particularly unsettling, but I'll spare you a sanity roll on it.
We're expecting horror at this point. Are the bodies still trying to push their way out of the tunnel?
We'll make a listen roll for me.
27.
Nope.
No.
27 out of 55.
Okay, well, Michelle, you think you can hear something? It's difficult to tell because these things have, for the most part, just got rags wrapped around their feet, so they don't make an enormous amount of sound when they move. But you think you might possibly hear that shuffling coming from the direction of the steps, going down into the catacombs.
All right, so I tell the guys, I believe I hear more of them down there. There's something moving down there. I don't know exactly what it is. This is not good. This is evil.
Well, they are blocked. They are blocked by the bars. If they come forward, put a bullet in their brain, it seems to kill them.
But isn't Citizen Rigaud down there still?
I think he's behind it all.
If he's there, he knows what we've done. If he knows another way out of there.
I don't know. I don't know if there is another way out of there.
So, Jean, what do we do here? It's insanity.
Yes, you are in charge, Sergeant.
Save your bullets for the captain. We can dispatch these blasphemies with our bayonets and swords. But if he has found another way to leave, then that is not our problem for now. But we cannot let these beasts roam free. Who knows what they will do?
So, Sergeant, I understand we should dispatch them, but is it even safe for us to go back to the barracks? One word from Rigaud, and we could be prisoners or deemed traitors, beheaded. I don't know if we should just go underground. I don't mean into the catacombs. I mean hide.
But eventually, the next watch will come,
And
we will send them to get others.
And Rigaud has no power anymore. He's lucky to be alive.
I think he's one of them. I think it is another mind who controls them now.
I do not like this one bit. I don't like the idea that Rigaud could be coming out somewhere else in the city. If he is anything like Fenelek was, we need to end him. You let that loose, and that's going to be chaos again, and that will only come back to haunt us.
So
I think we should go down there, Sergeant.
Perhaps we should collect what we can, prepare, make our way, find his home, and ambush him there. If he knows what we have done, then perhaps he may be planning to flee or something of the sort. If we can catch him at his home, we may be able to end this. Or
this may be just a taste of something he has been cooking for quite some time. Why is he down there? Is he making an army of the dead?
So, mes compagnons, shall we go down? Dupois, Ugel. Pressy wants us to go.
An army of people down there.
That is my concern.
He has an endless supply of dead bodies.
Well, we could. That is another reason I want to visit his home. Whatever he's been doing there, we may find some answers.
His home might be a good choice.
Plus, we can find some more of your special herbs and spices, hey, Dupois? Something to Be ready.
If you think he is once again a vampire, I think while we have the chance, while we have them contained at the moment, let us secure this gate more securely.
Now, I'm as your GM, I'm going to offer you some helpful advice.
Okay.
Right now, to keep the game running smoothly, and I will remind Sergeant Babin that if you were to leave your post, that would be desertion, and you would all be found and executed.
Yeah,
for that. So and going and finding Rigaud's house would count as deserting.
We can do that after we are relieved of duty,
I suppose.
For now, I think we need to find a bigger chain and do this through the gate, so there's no chance that they can break through and get out.
Or even rope, because I don't think they would be able to cut it.
Rope burns. I don't know.
Well, they didn't seem to be using tools per se. They were just moving. You know, they would walk into each other. It didn't seem like they had free thought. So rope might just.
A rope would work temporarily. A chain, I think, would work better if we can find one.
And Mick, I had one question. I believe there were 3 lanterns I had grabbed from the inside before they locked it. Are they made from tin and brass?
Yes, they are.
My thought is
they're also what you might call miners' lanterns. So they're bullseye lanterns. You can they have a shutter.
Right.
Well, I was just wondering how much metal we could strip off and melt down to make some extra bullets in our downtime, because we only have a couple shots apiece.
The kind of metals they're made of would require proper foundry equipment.
We would use lead for bullets because it melts.
So if you could get a hold of lead, you could just melt that over stove. But
we're soldiers, though. We probably have access to that stuff back at the barracks.
Because I know most soldiers have that little portable. It's like a little container. You melt one bullet at a time and pop it out.
You could also, I mean, there's nothing to stop you really if you felt the need and you had to replenish your supplies. I'm sure that no soldier of the time would be adverse to shinning up a drain pipe and prying a bit of lead off of someone's roof.
That's all I was thinking. Just I thought the lantern might have had something.
There is something we must remember too. If we dispatch all of these undead monsters, then it will simply look to the authorities as if we have murdered all of these men right here and right now. We need to make sure that when the others get here, they can see what they are.
These don't look anything like men.
I know, but...
Nor do we have the tools to I'm assuming we don't have the tools to sew heads on the bodies.
Without seeing the actual living, unliving things, there will be questions.
So the next one that comes up, we'll try to restrain it.
Well, they're all restrained. They can't get out.
Pull it out.
How many hours do we have before the next watch comes?
I think it's 4:00
in the morning.
Dawn,
okay.
Dawn.
So a couple of hours still.
You've got about 3 hours left. It's about 1:00 in the morning. Right?
I say we just keep watch, but more secure that door better. The gate. Have any of the other ones now come up to the gate again and started?
While you've been talking, you can now hear quite clearly the sound of shuffling. At the top of the steps, just out of sight, but you can hear quite clearly that.
Any trees nearby?
Presumably, 2 of them again are coming up. No, there's some sort of
We're in the city, so
Yeah.
There's,
Well, we're
there's
on the
a,
outskirts.
there's a few bushes and a
Okay.
bit of scrub, but no trees really. The nearest trees are about 30 or 40 yards away.
well, surely we can find something nearby, or at least one of us can, while the others keep guard.
I could take a quick scout around to see if there's any materials that we could use.
Chains, ropes.
Anything just until reinforcements arrive, just to keep them detained.
See what you can find,
There's
Jeff.
nothing of
No.
that kind out. There's there were a couple of broken hand carts. There's a few old bits of crate. It's just broken things, really.
Well, then we will just have to keep watch.
Well, the handcart at the very least, we could drag that and prop it up.
Maybe with the coming of the dawn, these undead things will die.
If Rugo gives us a problem and he is a vampire, maybe we should have busted off a couple pieces of that bench and be ready to plunge it into his heart.
Yes, a wooden stake. A good idea.
If that is what you say is best, Pressy, you are the expert.
I'll get a couple of good sharpened sticks.
That's flattering, but
sharpen.
I was scared. I was scared senseless during everything we'd had to do with Fenalik.
Okay,
I'm lucky I came out of that with any hair.
so while Dupois is doing some whittling, what are the rest of you going to do?
I just want to keep my eyes and ears open for any sounds coming out of the catacombs or any mysterious watchers or people observing us.
Oh, you can see now the first one is just starting to come out of the out of the top of the staircase, out from the doorway.
Now, hacking its arms off doesn't kill him, right?
His
It
arms
didn't
seem
appear to
fall
no.
off. Yeah.
All right.
Thinking perhaps we reduce it to a torso?
It's, as long as it's still moving, it does it proves our point, right?
That is
Do
what
any
I'm-
of you have any medical or natural world?
I've actually got it at 50, natural world.
Yeah, try a natural world roll.
I do not.
First aid at 50.
Oh, well. 3 out of 50, so that's actually an extreme success.
Yeah, your father took you hunting as a young boy, and you've done a fair share of butchery, and now and then you had time to experiment with hanging meat until it was high, and once or twice you left it too long. So you know what rotten meat looks like and smells like, and those limbs fell off because they were high, because they were rotting. There was a grey-green colour
Ugh.
to the limbs that you definitely recognise.
Did the heads have that as well?
No, the heads looked fresher.
Okay.
There's plenty of
In
those.
fact, at least one of the heads looked almost rosy-cheeked.
I see.
With the reign of terror, there are plenty of heads.
Indeed. Okay. So the bodies are dead, but the heads live. Some kind of whatever terrible blasphemy he's up to. I imagine if we remove the limbs, these things will not die. So, I think the heads, they are the weak points. So if we can take the arms and perhaps part of the legs off, they will still be
Now,
demonstration pieces.
how many were there when they got off the cart? Because we had to count them. So
I think it was 12.
12. And we killed, what, 5?
I think so.
And how many more is he making down there?
So we have a couple to experiment with. If we make a mistake, there's still a couple living. or unliving, however you want to put it.
You've killed 4. There are 2 in front of you, so you can assume from that there are at least another 6 in addition to that.
So
12 go down there.
if you guys want to experiment on one of them to see if it stays animated, then try with one. If it fails, just don't touch the other one. Just keep it contained. That way we have the living proof or unliving.
The head is how he is controlling them. So, yeah, try your experiment, but it's going to be a little difficult. So you're only going to be able to get the 1 or 2 that come up to the gate.
Yeah.
If there's others behind them, they're going to be blocked from getting to the gate.
Well, that's the goal for now. So with this one, I'm gonna go up, try to goad it, so that Pressy can chop the arms off. And then with that one, I guess we'll go in and stab at its legs until it falls over, and then do the same thing for the other one, and then try to drag them out.
You prod at the first one a little bit, and it becomes enraged, and
that's the problem. It's becoming enraged.
I figured we'd do the Pressy arm chop before we try to get too much into anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
The one behind it becomes enraged.
Oh,
at the same instant, almost at the same instant.
Perhaps cutting them up into pieces is not a good idea. They were not enraged until we attacked them.
The one in front launches itself at the chain. The one behind essentially launches itself at the one in front.
Dupont, I don't like the idea of all them standing around, though. If Rugo comes up and gives them other instructions.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some of the bits and pieces of wood that I have shaved off that are somewhat wedge shaped, and I'm going to jam them under the bars, the crossbar on the bottom, so that it sort of wedges those things. If they try to push on them, it keeps them from opening.
Nice, like a doorstop.
Yeah, like a doorstop.
Okay.
I'm afraid that even their combined weight pushing on the chains will snap the chains.
Yeah, that's cram the door stops into place, and then maybe use your pig sticker and take them out at the knees.
Well, maybe not enrage them, but you're the boss. So
I'll remind you that the left hand gate, the more intact of the gates, did actually have a
right. We just needed a bolt to hook them together.
Oh yeah, to get that bolt down there, I saw that when I was dragging that gate. It's just full of leaves and stick and dirt. If we get it out, we could bolt that side down.
Okay, well we'll push the gate a little bit farther in so that we can get to the hole and try to dig it out with a dagger or something so that we can get that rod down into it.
Okay. That could prove quite difficult at the moment because there are
the 2 angry ones,
right?
2 furious hooded monstrosities.
Well, as soon as any arms come through, I'm going to try to chop at them, Mick.
They still move kind of slow, though, don't they?
They move quite slowly. They're certainly his arms are flailing because it's sort of over the top of the chain, so it's kind of in true undead fashion.
Right.
Maybe if we get out of visual,
in front of him.
if we get out of the visual sight for a few minutes and they have nothing to concentrate on, maybe they'll revert to their previous state.
I think we are better killing them faster and getting them out of the way.
I was 3 sentences ago when I was doing that. I was going to say like 1990s ravers, and I've been listening to everything that's been said since, and every sentence that was said between then and that could actually be suffixed with the phrase like early 1990s ravers, including the one about killing them all.
Why don't you do this? If there are pieces of the cart, okay, or if there's a partial cart, we can push the cart up against the gate hard enough where it pushes the gate in a little bit, and then I'll get down on my hands and knees and use my dagger to dig out that hole. And then we can let up the pressure and drop the rod down in the hole.
We don't want to hit the gate too hard either.
No, don't hit it. Just push it.
I'll push it. Okay, okay.
They're pushing also, so it's not going to just fly open.
Yeah. Well, we've got a hand cart that's damaged, so that'll presumably do that. I'll go grab the hand cart and drag it over.
I'm thinking also in the back of my head, we had 3 people in carts that were here with dead bodies that ran for their lives. Don't you think it's most likely that in a few minutes other people are going to show up because those 3 guys will have said things to people at the bar, at the pub, at the...
If anything, they're probably saying, "Don't go outside of the city tonight."
Well, that's the one thing that everybody will immediately do once you say, "There's zombies, there's monsters, they're killing them." People will come just to see what the hell's going on. So this might solve itself soon enough, but
just feed drunkards into it until there's a pile of drunk corpses.
Take care of the homeless population. Just, of course, then he's got more fresh bodies. So, all right. So, can we try this digging the hole out?
Oh yes, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, I'll just say it takes you a turn. It's literally all you need to do is stick your bayonet in and wiggle it about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a knife, so that's probably easier to work with.
Yep. It's just run of the mill debris. Might possibly be
now, that only secures
a stone that you have to flick out or something. But
that only secures half the gate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no corresponding bolt on the other side. The last couple of sections, being the ones that would have had that bolt, are the ones that seem to have rusted off, and someone's just come and sawn off.
So I'll wedge stuff under that one, and I'll do my best to keep that, and we can keep the cart up against it too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you managed to rig something up.
So we'll just wait.
Well, you've still got these 2 chaps sort of...
Yeah, they're more on the way.
They're not doing
I'm
anything.
doing the raving again. No, I mean, they're like this.
Bobon, I really don't care for those arms just flagging around like that. Let me take them off.
Have at it.
And I start hacking. Would you like me to roll, Mick?
Yes, please.
Those hands start walking across the floor coming at us.
I got a standard success on my first roll, 42 out of under 70.
Okay, roll for damage for me, please.
Sorry, just needed to double check it. Eight.
Okay. Yes, one of its limbs sort of comes off is the only way I can really describe it. It's not so much that you chop it off, it's more that you sort of hack into it, and
because it's kind of
it comes away from the shoulder further up with the force of you hacking into it lower down, and just sort of pull it off.
Okay. Yeah, we've noticed the body's kind of rotting.
It's not a pleasant sensation from your perspective as the person doing the chopping either. It's not like hacking into an opponent or even into meat. It's kind of soft and gives way too easily. It doesn't feel quite right to you.
Well, I will proceed as much as I have to get the limbs out of my face.
Well, at least tonight we eat.
Ugh. You're disgusting.
There is another one behind it as well that is still.
Sure, I'm going to, while While he's doing that,
Cerveau, s'il vous plaît, monsieur. Cerveau, s'il vous plaît.
oh, is it talking?
No.
Oh.
Horse, please? Is that what he's saying?
Brains, please.
Oh, Chabot. Okay.
Brains, please, sir. Brains, please.
I am going to grab the feet of the ones that are outside the gate where we are that we've killed, and I'm going to pile all the bodies into a pile over towards the side, so that we can burn them later.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you can embark upon doing that. I would remind you that, I mean, you've chopped the other one's arms off, but it's still trying to sort of get through the. I mean, it's not making any progress through the gate. It's literally just sort of just walking into the chain and bouncing back a couple of inches and then walking back into the chain again. They don't appear to have a very high functioning level of intellect, is what I'm getting at.
Right. They're just machines. I've wrapped a cloth around my face too, because I don't want to get any.
Dupois, let the reinforcements touch those filthy things. Let's just wait for them.
Well, they're kind of in our way too, because they're all right in front of the gate. I'm just getting them out the fuck of our way. I'm used to dirty jobs.
Can you all make a listen roll for me, please?
20.
27, that's exactly half, so it's a hard.
96 out of 20. I don't hear anything.
100.
Ooh.
Okay.
Get your ears out of my nose.
Baban and Pressy, somehow, and you're not even sure how you did it, but somehow you enter into this weird position where you're each pressing your ears against the other's ears, and it's like you can hear the ocean for a moment.
Pressy, did I ever tell you you have a beautiful heartbeat?
Oh, I never noticed your eyes were blue, Baba.
For the other two, for those of you who passed, you can hear movement on the stair again, but this isn't that soft shuffling foot of those things.
Uh-oh.
This is the sound of a well-heeled boot.
I think, Monsieur,
and it's a sudden clattering of that well-heeled boot back down the stairs.
Back down.
Yes, Citizen Rigaud has figured out what we have done.
I believe he was watching the last few moments.
And then he ran back down. I hope he's not getting more dead bodies to come and attack us. We will have to raise the alarm if that is the case.
Make sure all your muskets are loaded, just in case.
Did any of you see him?
No.
Definitely heard hard boots.
He had hard boots, yes.
That's unfortunate, but it was only a matter of time.
I don't think he can find another way out unless he knows the catacombs. And the catacombs are a labyrinth.
Although, if he is not...
I don't know how many entrances or exits there are to the catacombs.
He's been going down there for years.
It's still a labyrinth, yeah.
If anyone would know them, they would be him. But regardless, if he's not breathing anymore, perhaps he has the time.
Now that you say not breathing, I remember Fenelek, didn't he turn into some sort of fog?
Well, that's true. If this one is a vampire like Fenelek, he could turn into a fog and leave. We would see that.
Well, maybe there's a different air tunnel or escape chamber.
I am thinking that he may just be one of these. Fenelek is concentrating on controlling him. I don't know any of this is true, but why are these things here? He's obviously working with them.
Either way, he is evil.
I think that once we have reinforcements, we need to go down there and find out what he is up to.
Indeed. But with the 4 of us, we cannot take 6 of them in the dark, plus the doctor.
Yeah, more.
They want us to be quiet.
Shuffling footsteps.
More
Monsieur, écoutez, silence, s'il vous plaît. Je mangeais I can't remember what the word for brains was. Cerveau.
Cerveau.
So I guess I probably don't hear him coming. I don't know if anybody mentions it.
We're more afraid of the one who wants to drink drink our blood. I don't know. I don't know what to do other than just wait and keep them in there.
That seems to be the best of our options. It's that, flee into the night like cowards, or
we'll have our heads
throw
another 2 of these things are shuffling out of the top. At this point, I'm just going to say that, I mean, you can just, with the setup that you've got now, where you've got this cart and the wedges and the chain, they're not intelligent enough to get past it. So, I mean, you can really just dispatch them at your leisure.
The 2 to the rear that have just come up, are they still like wearing their bags and docile, or do they flip out when they see the other ones that are flipped out in front of them?
As soon as they get around the corner, they start becoming more animated. And they sort of, I wouldn't say they run, it's more that they stumble at a slightly enhanced rate.
Okay, men, let's dispatch these 2 here so that the other ones behind do not eventually build up too much of a force of strength. If we can keep only a few up here at a time, we will have our demonstration without any risk to ourselves.
Okay. So
we're going to keep chopping them up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, there's 2 in front that are super mad, and 2 that are coming from behind. Those are mad now too. So we don't want too many mad ones piling up on it. So my plan is chop down the oldest ones every time new ones come to stop them from.
If that is what you want to do, let's do this systematically, and we know how to dispatch them. We know how to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Chop off their head, yes, or put a bullet. Well, you don't need to put a bullet. Just take your bayonet and jab them right between the eyes. Let's move the cart, and I will let them out one at a time. Then you'll only have to fight one of them.
That works, and then we can restrain the last one.
I can actually use a piece of wood to let one out, and then slam the gate and keep it closed, and hold the piece of wood, at length.
Mick, are there any nails in these metal fasteners in any of these carts that are smashed up?
Spot hidden.
18 out of 61.
You can see a few bits and pieces that you could put into service. Yes.
You're gonna be square nails.
Yeah. I figure the last one that we capture, we just nail its arms to its side. Just nail them straight into his hips.
Oh no, what you mean like they do to those river dance dancers? That's very cruel, you know.
I'm an engineer. That is how I solve my
Never
problem.
ever do that. Michael Flatley is a monster of a man, and you should never support river dance the way he mutilates those dancers.
I remember when I was little.
That is fine. We have 2 centuries until he comes for us. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be our plan then. Ugel, Pressy, and I are gonna wait back and kind of dispatch them one at a time as Dupois lets them out, and then the last one we're gonna try to tackle, and we're gonna basically like nail his arms into his hips and then hobble it as well so it doesn't get up.
Well,
that is our crazy plan.
As with any job, once you've done it a few times,
Right.
It becomes quite easy, monotonous almost. It's like dipping sheets, really. Another one comes through, smack it on the head. You know, it's not particularly demanding, so I'm not going to ask you to roll for those ones. But when you've eventually counted them all through and you're pretty sure that you've got the last one.
12 of them?
Yeah, this is number 12. And it's taken you quite a while, you know. There's the first hint of the sun beginning to show. There's the crepuscular light of the pre-dawn. And I'm going to ask you to make a brawl roll for this one, and I'm also going to give you a penalty dice as well, because at this point you're actually quite tired. You've been hacking into these things' skulls for the last hour, so you're feeling quite fatigued. Okay. So the penalty dice reflects that.
I got a 27 out of 85, so really good roll.
Okay, and what was your role in the?
Well, you sort of moved us forward. I was going to suggest that they make a rudimentary rope out of some of the pieces of clothing on the ones that we dispatched, and then hold it across the front. As I open it up and the thing came out, we've already got it halfway around. We just tie the damn thing up. But got to brawl for it. Got to fight this thing.
Well, I mean, you could.
They've become incredibly predictable now. We know exactly what they're going to do.
Oh, they're just. I mean, it's clear that they're just heading back to the carts, which obviously aren't there anymore,
right?
To get more skulls, and they're not outfitted to do anything other than picking things up and carrying them. Even the way they've been fighting you was not. They weren't clawing at you or anything. They were more just sort of swinging blindly at you and or trying to squeeze and grapple.
So my role is that I said that I was letting them out, so I was letting them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But 54 on my penalty brawl out of 60, so I just barely made it.
Okay. And what were you specifically intending to do?
Going to tackle this thing to the ground. Ugel and Pressy are going to hold it down with their body weight, and then I am going to hammer home a bunch of carpentry nails through this thing's bones to restrain it.
Okay. In that case, I was going to ask Ugel and Pressy for the
Maybe let's wait for just a second.
This just took a turn.
43 out of 55.
98.
Ooh.
Okay, well, Ugel manages to hold down one arm, but Pressy is having difficulty. Pressy tries to grab the arm on his side, but the rags that this thing is clothed in just basically just disintegrating while you're trying to hold on to them. It's impossible to get a purchase on it, so its arm just starts flailing around, nearly knocking over my tea in the process. It's all gone very meta.
Well, am I able to secure the arm on Ugel's side first?
Make a roll against your hammer corpse skill. Or if you're a cleric, spiritual hammer. Or if you're a chef, spiritual hamburger.
A 60, which if it's my mechanical repair, it's only 50. If it's brawl, it's 60. So I make it exactly. So
yeah, it would be brawl. Yes.
Okay.
So with the brawl, you manage. It's kind of easier than you thought, really, to hammer this thing's hand to it. So when you go through the wrist, I would imagine.
Yeah, I imagine I'm taking deliberately bent nails so that it doesn't just pull straight out, so that it hooks on the bone.
You get the feeling that it's the bone that's keeping this thing in place more than anything else, because the bits of it are falling off even while you're hammering into it. Meanwhile, on the other side, the arm is continuing unabated, flapping around for.
I guess as I'm hammering it in, my son Cesar, the doctor, he is going to be so horrified when I tell him this story.
I hope you don't nail those arms to his side and then they detach at the shoulders. So now he's got shit like this with oh my god.
Did they flop down and he's got him down at the bottom?
Like that.
Like a delightful grass skirt.
Oh, geez, what are we all insane?
That's actually a dance. That's a dance. That's a dance called the penguin.
Yeah. Hey, this is what happens when the one-handed combat engineer ends up in charge of the team.
I will be glad when this is all over.
Serious, frightening role-playing game.
Yeah.
Cosmic horror.
This is our slow degeneration into insanity.
It is. You're going completely crackers now. You're climbing on top of a corpse and hammering its arms, sides. You've lost it at this point. Of course you have.
Right.
At the very least, you stink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to take my monthly bath.
I think we all will by the end of this.
I'll have to at least stop at the creek, or Melody won't let me in the house.
Yeah. When you smell of her dead dad.
Something she does not need to know.
That's kind of transgressive, some might say. Right, so you've still got this arm flailing around. Someone needs to secure that arm, I would imagine.
Right. So we could both try it, right? Pressy and myself, because he has the other arm.
Well, I can come in from the side now and push his arm in, since I'm not doing anything at the moment.
Okay, yeah, Dupois, mate, you make a roll first before we...
And what am I rolling?
Strength roll, please.
Yeah, I got a 91.
Ow.
Which is only 11 points.
Yeah, it's the same problem. You try to grab hold of it, but you get a handful of what appears to be a decaying burlap sack and something you hope it very much is just dripping. It's just goose grease or something, because the alternative is too horrible.
Well, all right.
And as I've completely forgotten who failed their roll before.
Pressy.
Yes,
Pressy.
I failed it.
Okay, so Pressy, I'll let you have a go again because you're on that side.
It's a fail, but not nearly as bad that time. It is a fail by... It's a strength roll, so it's a fail by 19.
He is like a greased pig. Well, more a greasy pig rather than greased.
I ask one thing of my squad, that they hold down a living corpse while I pound nails into it. Can they not even do this?
Well, Ugel, given that you were so successful in doing it on the other side, you can clamber over the flailing undead thing.
50 out of 55.
Okay, so you go over and just pull it in. And Baban, you now have a chance to...
26 to drive some nails in out of 60.
Okay. Personally, I would have used screws.
So I haven't invented the screw yet.
Well, yeah. 2.5 inch, 8. That would have done it. Anyway, yes, you are successful. You nail its wrist to its pelvis, essentially, which gives it a strange and disturbing sort of look. It's still thrashing around quite a lot, though. It seems absolutely livid.
Do we have something to try and lash its feet together?
Just take one of the bags from one of the dead ones. I'm gonna get up and go grab a bag off one, like a head bag off one, and try to stuff its feet into it.
Give me a spot hidden roll while you're over there.
Okay. 31 out of 61.
One or two of them are wearing belts, rudimentary belt, not like belts made of leather, but just rudimentary belts made of twine and rope just to hold their trousers up. That could be employed if you needed it.
Yeah, I will grab that up and say, "The Lord provides, my friends," and bring it back. We'll try to tie off these legs.
I would be happier if the Lord prevented these sort of things from happening. Oh my God.
And I have a 74 out of my 60 brawl, so I probably catch a donkey kick from this thing.
Look, I will stand on his legs.
Yes, that might be a better system. Just trying it like that, yeah, you just can't. You can get hold of one, and then the other one's all the way over there somewhere, flailing around, and just getting the two legs together is it's like pushing two magnets together. They're all over the place. You definitely need someone to help you.
I'll help pull the legs together. Even I have to get on my hands and knees to do it, and
Okay, yeah, just give me a brawl roll for that.
Yes, 71 out of 85.
Yeah, you just sort of, fall on his legs,
Yeah, pull him together.
clasp them together. So I'll say that while he's doing that, it's easy work to tie the legs together.
We could say that
I won't make you roll for that one.
he died previously, but he's still kicking.
Hey-o.
Oh.
Pressy, you're an educated man. What is it they say? Soldiering is long periods of boredom interspersed by occasional moments of fighting corpses.
Yeah, they did not educate us about fighting corpses in the church. I'd say a prayer for these things, but fuck them. I want them to stop moving.
We all look at you like, oh my God, he said that.
Well, I mean, this thing hasn't calmed down any. It's sort of bucking and rearing. It's doing the caterpillar, which I believe was a move, an old school breakdance move, popular in late 18th century Paris.
Well, I'm going to at least put one foot on the things, just to keep it from moving around too much.
We could put that broken handcart on top of it and then just sit on the handcart.
Let's just hold still until people come.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to wait very long. About, I would imagine, less than 5 minutes after you've finished tying this thing up, and you've just got your breath back by this point. Reinforcements, well, I suppose you could call them reinforcements, arrive in the form of 3 of what we are, of what you as soldiers are laughingly expected to refer to as the National Militia. Okay. Which takes the form of 3 youthful peasants, at least one of whom isn't old enough to shave, who are armed with farming implements, and their uniforms, such as they are, consist of ordinary clothes and caps with the tricolour rosette on them. One of them has shoes. You assume that he's in command. But they race up quite animated and start telling you that they've Monsieur, the Carters, they said there was some kind of uprising.
Indeed, citizen. The good citizen Rigaud, he traffics in dark arts, and I'm gonna gesture down to the bucking undead.
Okay, one of them, the youngest of the 3, just screams and runs off into the night at that point. The other two are just standing there uneasily looking at each other, one of them clutching a pitchfork, and the other one holding what looks like a big bill hook. And they're surveying the quite a substantial pile of these corpses that you've built up over the course of the evening there.
I'll extend a hand in greeting to the commanding officer and say, I apologize, but we did not have time to dispose of the rest of them. If you can burn them, I would advise it.
Were these are these corpses from the tunnels?
No, my friend. And I'm gonna kick over the our bucking one so that he's like face up. You may notice that the head does not match the body. It is the same for all of them.
These are the product of deviltry. We need to raise the alarm.
Oh, rather, the one you took for the leader, who you were talking to, has now just started whimpering.
I'm gonna roll persuade to try to like.
The other one is trying to console him.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll persuade to try to basically just be calm and transmit that to him. Of, do not worry, you are part of the militia. You are the lifeblood, the muscle of France.
Oh, but that one, did you see that one? Oh my God, it has a child's head.
35 out of 56, which actually, I'd make that on psychology as well, if that matters. But I know it is terrible. Do not worry. We have already dispatched them all. 12 came in, 12 came out. We struck down 11, and we have our 12th for proof. We just need you to be brave, be strong, and keep an eye on that gate.
You just want us to stay up here?
Indeed, for now.
We're not going down there. You're going down there. We're not going down there. And there's a bit of muttering that goes on between the two of them. He said they're going down there. I mean, we don't have to go down there. I'm not going down there.
I'm gonna lean over to my squad.
I'm not going down there, even if they want me to.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean over to my squad and go, I do not think these are the reinforcements that are going to allow us to hunt down Rigaud. Do we want to try that by ourselves?
I think that we need to have one of them go and get reinforcements.
What time is it?
About 6 or 7 a.m.
Wasn't at 7 a.m. the real troops coming? This is the
That's it.
No, this is the response from the Cardinal.
Yeah, this is it is dawn.
Yeah, these are
having not heard having not consciously heard a church bell for a while. It's dawn is the time.
Right. These are like
around dawn is when you're usually relieved.
So these aren't our replacements, but they are
like the police
running.
These would just be local militia, pretty much a conscripted militia. And if they're wandering around like this with no shoes and just farm implements, it's a pretty fair bet that they've just been conscripted, and they haven't even gone off to do anything yet. They've just been like waiting around to be sent somewhere.
Well, then should we send them to raise the alarm? Bring people.
Maybe send one back. The other one can. I'm gonna whisper and point to the braver of the two. The braver one perhaps will watch over our little friend here, and then maybe it's only Rigaud. We march down. We look for Rigaud. By now, he has probably fled. We try to see what we can find of what he was doing down there.
Well, okay. If I'm misunderstanding this, we still have to wait for our soldiers to get here that are replacing us. Otherwise, we're deserting. Correct?
No, not if you go down. Not if you go down into the catacombs.
Okay.
That would only apply if you'd gone off to look for Rigaud's house.
I see. Okay.
But no, the guarding the catacombs and patrolling in the catacombs is why you're here.
Yeah. So we send the captain with the shoes back to get help. His brave little friend here watches our little friend, and then we make our way down and find what we can. Sound like a plan, everyone?
Yeah, and if the other troops come, tell them to have the kids send them down immediately to follow us.
Yeah.
And to call out so we know it's them coming down.
Tell them that there is a necromancer who is using Satan's power to raise the dead, and we must stop him. And there's the evidence right there.
Perhaps saying Satan's power is not quite the...
A necromancer, somebody who raises the dead, using the devil's evil arts.
Okay, well, the chap with the shoes races off. Seemingly looking very keen to be running away from the great big pile of corpses. The chap with the pitchfork, for his part, is really playing up the bravado. I think in order to convince himself that he's not scared more than anything else.
Right.
But he's poised with his pitchfork, ready to poke. should it do anything?
Okay. So
I mean, you've been doing this job. You've been doing this job a long while. You've been on this detachment a long while. You know when you're going to get relieved, and it's kind of now-ish. It can be anything up to an hour either way. You know, the days of discipline in the army are long gone. Things are very vague now. You know, as I said last time, no one's been paid for quite a while, so no one's really in a hurry to be the best soldier they can.
So, Sergeant, let us go downstairs, down into the catacombs.
I shall lead the way, and I'm gonna put one of the lanterns, hang it from my wooden hand, and then have my axe out in the other hand.
Real question: would we let him go first?
If your sergeant decided to go first, you certainly wouldn't question it.
Wouldn't stop him. We need you as our leader.
Fine. Who wants this glorious duty? And I'll hold out the lantern.
Bobon, you keep the lantern. I'll hold the musket and go first.
Well, we have. Sorry, I was just going to say we had 3 lanterns, so it's not a trouble for light.
I got plenty.
I figure
I'm the oldest and the strongest, so let me go first.
Okay, Dupois, you shall lead the way. I will follow behind you with the lantern.
With my bayonet pointed straight forward.
Okay.
And my bullet ready to shoot if I need to.
I'll go third or fourth, it doesn't matter. If you want me to back you up or fall in line, it's your choice.
Pressy, you bring up the rear with your sword.
Sword from the rear?
Yes, in case anything comes from behind.
Oui, Sergeant.
Okay, well, it's much as you remember from last time you were there many years ago. As much as you remember from last night. You've been stationed here for ages. It's a dreadful place, really. It's dusty. It's humid. It's
I'm gonna wrap something, around my face.
Yeah, it has a deep, fetid stench that seems to get into everything. And the floor is covered with a layer of dust, so it's very, very, very easy to follow a trail through the tunnel. Very easy indeed. And you descend the stairs. You head forward for seems like quite a long while. Maybe 60 or 70 meters before the path jinks to the right, and still this very clear path of really the only tracks of shoes that you can see anywhere. They're no tracking roll is needed. You have a lamp, and they are the only tracks. From time to time, the tracks are obliterated by what look like sort of drag marks, which you assume is the marks that were left by the dead things as they were shambling around. But it's very easy to find the footprints again. And you get the feeling that you're definitely closing in on the right section, because you find yourself in a very long corridor lined with skulls, thousands of skulls. Every so often there are smaller tunnels branching off to the sides. These are also lined, packed thick with skulls. The first ones that you encounter are grey or yellowed. Some of them are crumbling. Others look like they're paper thin. You get the feeling that these must have been the ones, possibly even the first ones from years ago when you were first detailed to these catacombs, when they were relocating the contents of the graveyards here. And as you push further on down the corridor, they seem to be getting fresher. In fact, you can smell a slight tang of iron, and you suspect that further down the corridor they will be fresher still. But there is something that strikes you, and it's one of those strange things that sometimes we see something, and it's so ubiquitous that we don't notice it at first. And you're about a third of the way down this corridor when it dawns on you that these skulls have all been decorated in some way. There's like a sort of a crude sort of crude circular mandala has been carved into the forehead of each of the skulls. And I mean, there are thousands of these skulls, but this same symbol has been carved into each one of them. And as you do walk on further and start to see the first of the notionally fresher severed heads, and I mean the first ones you see are very clearly rotting. But again, you see that this same mandala has been carved into all the heads, and where there is flesh on the freshly severed heads, it's been carved through the skin and into the bone underneath with really quite determined force.
Witchcraft.
Do any of you have Cthulhu Mythos or occult?
Yes.
I think we all picked up a little bit of Mythos.
I do have some occult also.
Yeah.
Yeah, occult would give it to you.
Bessie, do you recognize any of these writings or these etched?
This does look a bit familiar. Mick, I rolled a 9 and I have a 30 for percentage.
I rolled a 15 and I have 55, so I got a hard.
Well, both of you recognize it. You're not sure where it comes from. It's quite obscure. You're sure that someone showed you something with it on, and they said it meant wisdom or it represented the soul or something.
Something that we would think was from witchcraft or alchemy.
Oh, it's definitely something you'd associate with witchcraft and black masses and that kind of thing. It's not a wholesome thing.
This is not something we've seen someone wearing as just a jacket adornment or a hat.
No. This isn't something that. I mean, this is there's something quite dark and sinister. Really, it's not the sort of thing you'd carve over your door frame for good luck or something.
Right. Okay.
It's quite a weird and obscure symbol. I would like. Who's at the front? Pressy, are you still at the front?
Oh
no,
no.
Dupois is at the front. Dupois, could you give me a spot hidden roll, please?
A 40, and my spot hidden is 65.
You're not entirely sure because you're surrounded by the glow of these lamps, and maybe it's the lamp just glinting off of something on you, but every now and then, possibly when someone behind you dips their lantern in a certain way, or they go behind you and you cast your shadow down the hall, down the corridor. The strangest feeling that you can see a sort of, a glow, a kind of purple glow from round the corner, but it's so faint that you're not entirely sure that you can even actually see it.
Attention. I say. I think there's something here. Close up your lanterns for a moment. So they're all, you said they're bullseyes, so they close the hoods on them.
A little further down the hall, you can see a kind of dim purple phosphorescence.
There in the dark. You see it?
And in this weird purple haze, it's almost as though the bone dust hangs in the air and seems to swirl.
Oh, we should have gotten garlic.
Of its own accord. And there's no breeze, but you can see this whirling of dust in this faint glow in the air, and you can't help but think that not consistently, but every now and then when this glow catches it in the right way, it's almost as if you can see fragments of that same symbol that was drawn or carved into the skulls. Not the whole thing, but just a line here and a bit there. Just out of the corner of your eye.
And does this thing move towards us away, or is it stationary? Other than
oh no, it seems to be getting faster, and it seems to be gathering more dust and debris as it spins faster. And as it's spinning faster, the strange light seems to be becoming very, very slightly brighter. It's still a very dim light. It is literally just enough light for you to see this movement.
Pressy, Dupois, how do we fight this witchcraft?
Are there skulls near me, or are they all flesh covered down here?
From where you are, sort of behind you, you can still see.
But I mean, within hands grab.
Oh, there are skulls of various ages all over the place. Really,
I'm going to grab a skull and I'm going to fling it at the thing, whatever it is.
Okay. There's a clattering and almost like a scratching and chattering noise, and the skull passes through the whirling dust, which dissipates briefly and then coalesces back into that same whirling form again. And is still picking up speed and is still picking up more debris.
How far?
And then you become aware of the fact that debris from the skull that you've just thrown is now becoming part of this whirling thing that teeth and shards of bone are spiraling around in the air, and it's weird because the way I'm describing it, I'm describing it as though it's some sort of whirlpool,
right?
But that's not what it's like. As you look at it closer, it's not just rotating. It's almost as though there are loads of different streams of this debris, and they're weaving in and out of each other, and sometimes in ways that seem to just be wrong. That it just wouldn't work. If it went in there, it wouldn't come out there. It couldn't come out there. That's not, because it wouldn't move round. And anyone who's looking at this, make a sanity roll for me, please.
40. That's a fail.
8 out of 64. I make it.
Well, a fail is only 1 point of sanity.
Okay.
So that in itself is nothing to worry about. But you do find yourself involuntarily crying out.
Ah! Oh. Bordel de putain de mer.
Dupont, what is it? What do you see?
Further ahead of you, down the corridor, as if in response to this cry that you just made, there comes a very dry, hoarse chuckle.
Lights.
I'll flip mine back open.
Do we see anything?
From where you are, no, you can't see anything from where you are.
What is going on up there?
Can we still see the dust devil or whatever it is?
You can kind of see it.
Pressy, you trade places with me.
It's not as easy to see in the lantern light as it was just during.
I say
I'll move on.
we need to know, and I'm going to step forward with my bayonet and jab whatever it is with my bayonet. Like, is it?
Your bayonet just goes through it and it dissipates, and then it starts reforming. And
I don't know what this is. It makes no sense.
Is there anything on the ground that would suggest some sort of ceremony or
Just a suction pipe?
spell or anything had been in this area?
Nope. No, it's a junction. The corridor goes straight forward for about 4 feet, at which point it looks like there's a cave in, and then it also goes around to the right, which is where the purple phosphorescence is coming from, and the swirling thing, swirling dust thing, is basically at the junction. It's at the apex of the junction.
How far have we gone in? Do any idea what part of the city we're under at this point?
I'm not sure what part of the city you're under, but I can tell you that you are, at the moment, you're about 70 or 80 meters in.
Oh. What direction were we headed? Were we going north, or did we end up on a winding kind of path?
You initially headed. Here we are. You initially headed southwest, and then you followed the trail west, and if you were to walk around that corner to where the phosphorescence is coming from, that direction would be north.
Okay. So we were probably not on the opposite side of the wall back underneath the city. We're probably on the outside of the city then. Oh.
It's very difficult to tell where you are.
Right.
Under here, you could literally, and the catacombs are famously confusing.
Well, if that purple light is still there and we haven't found the source, I'll move right ahead towards it.
Well, the purple light itself is the source. I think.
I thought Mick just said it was around the corner.
Oh well, I've walked up to it and stabbed at it with my bayonet.
Maybe these witches' marks on the skulls is giving it some sort of energy.
I'm going to risk, at this point, taking the back of my hand and trying to dissipate the swirling stuff.
It does exactly what you would expect a cloud of dust to do. It dissipates, and then it just slowly coalesces.
Don't let this thing deter us. This is a trick of some sort. It means nothing. I am not harmed. And I step forward, so I'm going around the corridor to where we think it's coming from.
Okay.
If I suddenly scream out and die, run!
Turning around the corner, you see Rigaud. He's working on a makeshift table, which looks like it may be an old door on a couple of trestles. He's carving a mandala, into the dead forehead of a severed head in front of him that's propped up on the table. And in the dim half-light with Rigaud's back to you, every now and then when he turns to fetch some tool or to adjust his lamp, it's possible to discern the face. And it's a face that you recognize. It is the face of your former commander, Captain Louis Malon. Not so freshly executed. You remember he was put to the guillotine some weeks ago. Doesn't look too bad. Perhaps it's been preserved in some way, but it is very clearly his head, and I'm going to have to ask you to make a sanity roll for that.
Made it 35 out of 62.
Nope.
For a failure, that's just one.
I am going down one.
But as you round the corner, or more as your lanterns round the corner, Rigaud clearly becomes aware of your presence. And
I step slightly to the side so that we can all come in. But I've got my musket pointed right at his head. What deviltry is this?
He very calmly puts the scalpel down on the table, and he picks up an old and rather dirty piece of cloth and wipes the blood from his fingers. And he puts the cloth back down with a very measured movement, as though he's very deliberately taking his time. And in the eerie half-light, half of his face lit by your lanterns, the other half in this strange purple glow that now you can see seems to be coming from the walls. He turns his face to you and grins. And you look into his eyes, except they aren't eyes. Where his eyes should be, there are just black pools of stars. I'm going to have to ask you all to make a sanity roll at that point, please.
So we've all made it in there now?
18 out of 64.
Yeah.
All right.
49 out of 62.
Failed again.
Ouch.
Yeah, Dupois on that downslope.
I failed.
I've got 25 points, and I rolled an 82.
Ouch.
Oh dear, that's it's 1 for a success and 1d6 for a loss.
Oh.
Okay. This is the point where I'm gonna just go red mist. I got a 5.
Ow.
Yikes. I think you're going to need a card for that then. Did anyone else fail that, by the way?
I
No.
did. I took 3.
3. Okay.
Let's see. All right. Do you want me to just do it myself?
Yes.
Right. We'll see what I get. Mix them all up.
You can just send me a private message and tell me what you got.
Okay.
And then as for what it actually is, we can just role play it.
Okay. That's an interesting one. I'll type it to you. It'll take me a second.
There's a certain uncharacteristic languor about Dr. Rigaud's attitude. When you met him before, he was a frantic, feverish man. He always gave the impression that he was desperately struggling to get things done in opposition to some nebulous and ill-defined deadline. But this man, I mean, he seems not only is he quite happy to gloat. He's it seems to be gaining immense satisfaction from letting you know that. So he holds his gaze and just grins at you and chuckles for what might be described as too long, an uncomfortably long time. And when he does begin to speak, his voice has none of the weakness or age that it formerly had. His voice is very strong now, willful. I can't say that I'm without a certain sense of irony. There is a certain sense of enjoyment in knowing that you were the same people who brought Fenelic to, should we say, justice? Is justice a thing now? I cannot possibly. I don't know. Anyway, I suppose. I suppose I will have to kill you. It seems a bore somehow. But if that is the way, then that is the way.
You'll see this proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no God.
I just look at Dupois.
Even Rigaud pauses for a moment, seemingly sort of taken aback by your non sequitur. You see him putting the. What has that got to do with anything?
I don't know why we ever try to do anything. We go through our lives believing that God exists and that he is watching us. There is no God. This is all nonsense. And anybody who says otherwise, I will kill them right here and right now.
God or no God, the dead should stay dead, Rigaud. Surrender and come with us.
I don't say anything. I just pull the trigger.
I will do no such thing. Okay. Roll to hit, please.
38. I needed an 85, so it's a hard success.
Nice.
Okay. Roll for damage, if you will.
Okay. 8. Not a
Okay.
great
Well, you fire at Rigaud, and bear in mind he's only about 4 feet away from you. So by the time you've raised up that musket, he's very close to the end of the musket. So when you shoot him, 2 things happen. The first, and to be honest, you've never seen this before in your life. But the first is that the muzzle flash from your musket ignites the lace collar of his shirt, and it just goes up in a flash, which seems to startle him more than anything. The other thing that happens, and far, far more shocking, is that you shoot him in the throat. And his throat is no more than 1.5 feet away from the muzzle of your gun. More than that, his throat is perhaps 8 inches in front of your bayonet. Where you are, you can see the musket ball impact with his body. You see the compression and the contortion of the flesh. And then you see the muzzle ball just drop out again. And at the same instant, with a start, about 3 feet behind you on your right, one of the skulls explodes. Not forcefully, but it just pops and bursts. And I would like you all to make a spot hidden, please.
21 out of 61. That's a hard.
15 out of 65. That is almost a critical.
13 out of 65. I hit the critical.
64 out of 70, just a regular success.
Okay, well, I will give that to Pressy, who has the crit. And also, you're the one who just shot him. So it makes perfect sense that you should see this. When the smoke of the muzzle flash clears, in amongst the charred remnants of his shirt, you can see his strangely colored flesh, mottled almost. But this time you can see it closely enough to realize that it's not just mottled. There's a pattern to it. All over his body, he seems to be covered with this well, you're not sure what it is. Doesn't look like a tattoo. It looks more like a rash. But it seems to be composed of tiny skulls. And on that note, I think we're going to leave it for this week.
Oh.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Our players included Fred Carter, Luke Strom, Jason Melnichuk, and myself with Mick Swan as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production. In order to create a richer listener experience, we provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We like reading them. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.